In New Mexico, where ancient desert winds carry whispers of the past and vast landscapes hold secrets older than time, every canyon has a story. From ghostly apparitions to mysterious creatures, we're bringing 12 haunting legends back to life. Number 1. La Llorona. Along the banks of the Rio Grande and countless other waterways throughout New Mexico, there's a legend that has chilled hearts for generations. La Llorona, the weeping woman. Her story begins in sorrow and ends in eternal torment. Long ago, there lived a beautiful woman who fell deeply in love with a man who would never marry her. In a fit of rage and despair, she drowned her own children in the river, hoping to win his affection. But when he rejected her still, she realized the horror of what she had done. Overcome with grief, she threw herself into the same waters. But death was not her escape. Instead of peace, she was cursed to wander forever, searching for her lost children. Dressed in white, her face streaked with tears, she walks along rivers and streams, crying out, "¿Dónde están mis hijos?" Where are my children? People throughout New Mexico still report hearing her mournful wails echoing across the water at night. Children are warned never to play near rivers alone, for La Llorona might mistake them for her own and drag them beneath the surface. Some have seen her ghostly figure standing by the water's edge, her long hair flowing like the current itself. Even today, parents use her story to keep children safe. But for many, La Llorona is more than just a cautionary tale. She's a reminder that some sorrows run so deep, they echo through eternity. Number 2, the chupacabra. In the remote desert areas and rural communities of New Mexico, ranchers tell tales of a creature that defies explanation. The chupacabra, the goatsucker. This mysterious beast has been terrorizing livestock since the 1990s, leaving behind a trail of unexplained deaths and unanswered questions. The creature is described as reptilian, about the size of a small dog, with leathery skin, spinal spikes, and large, alien-like eyes. But what makes it truly terrifying is how it kills. Animals are found drained completely of blood through small, precise puncture wounds, with no signs of struggle or decomposition. Farmers and ranchers across New Mexico have lost chickens, goats, and sheep to these attacks. The wounds are too clean for wild animals, too strange for any predator they know. Some witnesses claim to have seen the creature itself, describing it as moving with an otherworldly speed and agility. Skeptics suggest it might be diseased coyotes or wild dogs, but believers know better. The precision of the attacks, the complete blood drainage, and the creature's ability to vanish without a trace suggest something far more mysterious. In a state where the unexplained feels normal, the chupacabra has earned its place among New Mexico's most enduring mysteries. It reminds us that in the vast, empty spaces of the desert, we're never truly alone. Number 3, the ghosts of the old penitentiary. In Santa Fe stands a fortress-like building that once housed the worst criminals in New Mexico. The old penitentiary operated from 1884 to 1980, and during those nearly 100 years, it witnessed violence, despair, and death that left permanent scars on its walls. The prison was notorious for its harsh conditions and brutal riots. In 1980, the most violent prison riot in U.S. history erupted here, lasting 36 hours and leaving 33 inmates dead. Guards were taken hostage, buildings were set on fire, and the horror that unfolded shocked the nation. But when the prison finally closed, the inmates left behind more than just their cells. Visitors and security guards report hearing screams echoing through empty corridors. Heavy doors slam shut on their own. Footsteps pound through hallways where no one walks. Some have seen shadowy figures moving through the cells. Others have felt invisible hands grabbing at them in the dark. The most disturbing reports come from the areas where the worst violence occurred during the riot. People describe an overwhelming sense of anger and despair, as if the very walls absorbed the suffering that took place within them. Today, the old penitentiary offers tours to brave visitors, but many leave early, unable to handle the oppressive atmosphere. In a place where hope went to die, it seems some spirits are still serving their sentences. Number 4. The Dona Ana County Witch. In the Mesilla Valley, where ancient traditions blend with desert mysticism, there's a legend of a witch whose power transcended death itself. Known simply as the Dona Ana County Witch, she was said to be a curandera, a healer who turned to darker arts when tragedy struck her family. The story goes that she lost her children to disease and made a pact with dark forces to bring them back. When the ritual failed, she was consumed by rage and used her powers to curse anyone who crossed her. Locals feared her house, avoided her gaze, and whispered prayers when they passed her property. After her death, strange things began happening throughout the valley. Livestock died mysteriously. Crops withered for no reason. Children fell ill with ailments that no doctor could cure. People reported seeing a hunched figure in black wandering the desert at night, her eyes glowing like coals in the darkness. Even today, residents of the Mesilla Valley speak of unexplained phenomena they attribute to the witch's lingering presence. Families tell stories of sudden illnesses that strike those who disrespect the old ways. Some claim to have seen her spirit near ancient burial sites, still practicing her dark rituals under the desert stars. In a land where the boundary between the physical and spiritual world has always been thin, the Dona Ana County Witch serves as a reminder that some powers are too dangerous to wield, and some souls too angry to rest. Number 5. The Taos, human. In the peaceful town of Taos, nestled in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, there's a sound that shouldn't exist. The Taos hum, a low-frequency noise that has been driving residents to distraction for decades. It's not just any sound. It's a persistent, droning hum that only some people can hear. And once you hear it, you can't unhear it. The hum was first reported in the 1990s when residents began complaining of a constant, low-pitched noise that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Described as sounding like a distant diesel engine or an enormous bee, it's loud enough to disrupt sleep, cause headaches, and drive people to desperation. Scientists have investigated extensively, using sensitive equipment to try to detect the source. Some theories include secret military experiments, underground facilities, or unusual geological activity. But after decades of study, the mystery remains unsolved. What makes it even stranger is that only about 2% of Taos residents can hear it. Those who do describe it as maddening, following them wherever they go within the town. Some have been driven to move away, unable to cope with the constant noise that others can't even detect. The most unsettling theory suggests that the hum isn't physical at all, but something supernatural, the voices of ancient spirits trying to communicate with the living world. In a place where Native American sacred sites dot the landscape and spiritual energy runs deep, perhaps the earth itself is trying to tell us something. Number 6. The Skinwalkers. Deep in the Navajo Nation, in the remote corners of New Mexico where few outsiders venture, there are stories of beings so terrifying that many refuse to speak their name aloud. The Skinwalkers, or Yi-Naldlushi in Navajo, are said to be witches who have gained the supernatural ability to transform into animals. According to Navajo tradition, these are people who have chosen the path of evil, breaking the most sacred taboos of their culture. To become a skinwalker, one must commit the ultimate act of desecration, killing a close family member. This unthinkable crime grants them dark powers, including the ability to shapeshift into wolves, coyotes, bears, or birds. But the transformation comes at a terrible price. Skinwalkers are said to lose their humanity completely, becoming creatures of pure malevolence. They can run faster than cars, their eyes glow in the dark, and they emit an otherworldly stench that animals can detect from miles away. People living near Navajo lands report strange encounters, animals that move wrong, creatures that seem too intelligent, too knowing, coyotes that walk on their hind legs, wolves that peer through windows with human-like eyes, dogs that speak in human voices. The Navajo people take these stories seriously, and outsiders are warned never to discuss skinwalkers casually. To speak of them is said to invite their attention, and their attention is the last thing anyone wants. In the vast, isolated landscapes of New Mexico, where ancient beliefs still hold power, the skinwalkers represent the darkest possibilities of human nature, transformed into something inhuman. Number 7. The Ghosts of Fort Union. On the wind-swept plains of northeastern New Mexico stand the ruins of Fort Union, once the largest military installation in the Southwest. Built in 1851 to protect travelers on the Santa Fe Trail, this fortress saw decades of conflict, disease, and death that left an indelible mark on the high desert. Soldiers stationed here faced Apache raids, harsh winters, and diseases that killed more men than any battle. The fort's hospital saw countless deaths, and the cemetery filled with young men who never made it home. When the fort was abandoned in 1891, it left behind more than just empty buildings. Park rangers and visitors report seeing phantom soldiers walking the ruins at dawn and dusk. These ghostly figures appear in period uniforms, carrying rifles and marching in formation across the parade ground. Some visitors hear the sound of boots on wooden floors in buildings that no longer have floors. The most haunting reports come from the hospital ruins, where people have heard moaning and cries for help echoing across the empty foundation. Photographers often capture strange mists and unexplained figures in their pictures, even on clear days. One ranger reported seeing a soldier in a blue uniform standing guard at the main gate, only to watch him fade away as the sun fully rose. Others have heard bugle calls at reveille and retreat, played by invisible musicians for an audience of ghosts. Fort Union stands as a monument to the hardships of frontier life, but for some of its defenders, duty apparently extends beyond death. In the endless expanse of New Mexico's high plains, these phantom soldiers continue their eternal watch. Number 8. The Headless Horseman of Alamogordo. In the Tularosa Basin near Alamogordo, where white sand stretches toward distant mountains, locals tell of a ghostly rider who haunts the desert roads after midnight. Unlike his famous New York cousin, this Headless Horseman has a distinctly southwestern origin story rooted in the area's violent frontier past. The legend tells of a cavalry officer who was decapitated during an Apache raid in the 1870s. His body was found days later, but his head was never recovered. According to the story, he was so dedicated to his duty that death couldn't stop him from patrolling the territory he was sworn to protect. Drivers traveling the lonely highways near Alamogordo report seeing a figure on horseback, keeping pace with their vehicles. At first glance, he appears to be just another rider, but as he draws closer, the horrifying truth becomes clear. Where his head should be, there's nothing but empty air. The apparition typically appears on moonless nights, galloping alongside cars at impossible speeds. Some witnesses describe hearing the thunder of hooves on asphalt. Others report that their engines mysteriously stall when the phantom rider approaches. Most encounters end with the horseman simply vanishing into the desert, but a few terrified drivers claim he's gestured for them to follow him into the darkness. Those wise enough to refuse and drive away often find themselves shaken for days afterward. In a region where the military still maintains a strong presence, perhaps it's fitting that one soldier's dedication proved stronger than death itself. The Headless Horseman of Alamogordo continues his eternal patrol, a reminder that some duties transcend the grave. Number 9. The Lady in Blue. Throughout rural New Mexico, particularly in areas with strong Hispanic heritage, there are stories of a mysterious woman in blue robes who appears to those in desperate need. Known as the Lady in Blue, she's believed by many to be the spirit of Sor Maria de Agreda, a Spanish nun who claimed to have been transported supernaturally to the Americas in the 1600s. According to historical accounts, Maria de Agreda never physically left her convent in Spain. Yet Native American tribes throughout the Southwest reported visits from a lady in blue robes who spoke to them about Christianity in their own languages. The Catholic Church investigated these claims and found them credible enough to document. Modern sightings describe a woman in flowing blue robes who appears to travelers in distress, lost hikers, and people facing spiritual crises. She doesn't speak, but gestures toward safety or provides comfort through her mere presence. Those who encounter her report feeling an overwhelming sense of peace and protection. Truck drivers on remote highways tell of seeing her standing by the roadside near accident sites before emergency responders arrive. Search and rescue teams have found lost hikers who insist a lady in blue led them to safety, though no such person was ever seen by the rescuers. The most compelling accounts come from people who were facing life-threatening situations: stranded motorists in blizzards, lost children in the wilderness, accident victims waiting for help. In each case, the lady in blue appeared at their moment of greatest need. Whether she's the spirit of the historical nun, a manifestation of faith, or something else entirely, the Lady in Blue represents hope in the vast, sometimes dangerous landscape of New Mexico. In a place where people can disappear into endless desert, her appearances offer comfort to those who believe they're never truly alone. Number 10. The Treasure of Victorio Peak. In the rugged Hembrillo Basin of southern New Mexico rises Victorio Peak, a lonely mountain that guards one of the Southwest's greatest mysteries. This isn't just another lost treasure story. It's a tale of gold, greed, and ghostly guardians that continues to claim victims today. The legend begins in 1937, when Doc Noss claimed to have discovered a vast cave system inside the mountain filled with gold, bars, coins, and precious artifacts. He said the treasure was worth hundreds of millions of dollars, possibly hidden there by Spanish conquistadors or Apache warriors. But when he tried to remove the gold, a dynamite blast sealed the cave, trapping the treasure inside. Doc Noss spent the rest of his life trying to reopen the cave, eventually dying in a shootout with a business partner in 1949. But that wasn't the end. The mountain was later claimed by the U.S. military for the White Sands Missile Range, making access nearly impossible. Those brave enough to search for the treasure report strange phenomena around Victorio Peak. Explorers describe seeing Apache warriors standing guard on the ridges, only to vanish when approached. Others tell of voices speaking in Spanish echoing from within the mountain, warning trespassers to leave. Several treasure hunters have died mysteriously while searching the area. Some were found in impossible locations, as if they'd been moved by invisible hands. Others simply disappeared, their bodies never recovered despite extensive searches. The most unsettling reports come from military personnel stationed nearby, who describe seeing ghostly figures moving around the peak at night and hearing the sound of digging coming from within the mountain. Some believe the treasure is protected by the spirits of those who originally hid it, doomed to guard their gold for eternity. Victorio Peak stands as a reminder that some treasures come with a price higher than their worth, and some secrets are meant to stay buried. Number 11. the ghosts of the KiMo Theater. In the heart of Albuquerque's downtown district stands the KiMo Theater, a stunning example of Pueblo Deco architecture that opened in 1927. This beautiful venue was built to showcase the finest in entertainment, but it also became home to one of New Mexico's most persistent hauntings. The tragedy that sparked the haunting occurred in 1951, when 6-year-old Bobby Darnell was killed in the theater's boiler room. The boy had been playing near the water heater when it exploded, taking his life instantly. But death couldn't keep Bobby away from the theater he loved. Theater staff and performers have reported encounters with Bobby's spirit for over 70 years. He appears as a young boy in 1950s clothing, often sitting alone in the balcony during rehearsals or wandering the backstage areas. Unlike many ghosts, Bobby seems friendly, even helpful, often alerting staff to problems with equipment or lighting. Actors have felt small hands adjusting their costumes or props. Ushers find children's fingerprints on mirrors in areas where no children have been. The most famous incident occurred during a performance when the ghost light, the single bulb left burning in empty theaters, began swinging violently during a dramatic scene, as if Bobby was applauding. The theater staff has embraced their ghostly resident, leaving donuts and candy for him and including him in theater traditions. Before each show, they announce, "Bobby, the show is about to begin," and many swear they can feel his presence settling in to watch. The KiMo Theater continues to host performances, and Bobby continues to attend them all. In a building dedicated to bringing stories to life, one story has taken on a life of its own, proving that not all theater ghosts are tragic. Sometimes they're just devoted fans. Number 12. The Giant of Los Lunas. On a volcanic escarpment near Los Lunas, New Mexico, ancient hands carved mysterious symbols into the rock face. But among these petroglyphs is something that defies explanation: the figure of an enormous humanoid being that locals call the Giant of Los Lunas. This isn't just another rock carving. It's a mystery that challenges our understanding of the region's ancient past. The petroglyph depicts a figure far larger than any human, with elongated limbs and strange proportions. What makes it truly puzzling is that it appears to be interacting with normal-sized human figures carved nearby, suggesting that whoever created it believed in the existence of giants. Native American tribes of the region have oral traditions speaking of a race of giants who once lived in the area. These beings were said to be neither fully human nor entirely spiritual, existing in the time before the current world was formed. Some stories describe them as benevolent teachers, others as dangerous entities that had to be driven away. Modern visitors to the site report strange experiences near the giant petroglyph. Some feel an overwhelming sense of being watched by something enormous and unseen. Others describe dizziness or disorientation when standing directly in front of the carving, as if something is trying to communicate across the centuries. Archaeologists struggle to date the petroglyph accurately or identify the culture that created it. The style doesn't match known traditions of the region, leading some to speculate about unknown peoples or forgotten civilizations. The most unsettling reports come from people who photographed the site. Some claim their pictures show shadowy figures, much larger than human scale, standing near the cliff face, visible only in the photographs and not to the naked eye. The Giant of Los Lunas remains one of New Mexico's greatest archaeological mysteries. In a state where ancient and modern, natural and supernatural exist side by side, this towering figure carved in stone serves as a reminder that there are still secrets waiting to be uncovered in the high desert, and some mysteries that may never be fully understood. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.